हेलो एवरीवन, आप सभी का स्वागत है आज के इस लेसन में, जो कि क्लास 10th के सोशल साइंस के हिस्ट्री के चैप्टर 2 पर बेस्ड है। द नेम ऑफ द लेसन इज नेशनलिज्म इन इंडिया। इसमें हम कुछ महत्वपूर्ण प्रश्नों और उसके उत्तरों पर बात करेंगे। तो समय न गंवाते हुए आइए हम आगे बढ़ते हैं। आपका हमारे चैनल नॉलेज वन डायरी पर स्वागत है और मैं आपका होस्ट आर के शर्मा इस पूरी वीडियो में आपके साथ रहूँगा। साथियों, आपसे एक विशेष निवेदन है कि अगर आपकी कोई शंकाएं हैं, कोई समाधान आप चाहते हैं अपनी समस्याओं का, अपने प्रश्नों का, तो आप हमारे कमेंट बॉक्स में लिख सकते हैं या हमारे ईमेल एड्रेस पर आप ईमेल भी कर सकते हैं। आपको उसका जवाब दिया जाएगा। तो चलिए अब हम आगे बढ़ते हैं। So here is your question number 1. What did Mahatma Gandhi mean when he said Satyagraha is active resistance? Answer है, according to Gandhi ji, Satyagraha is not a physical force. A Satyagrahi does not inflict pain on the opponent and it does not want to destroy him. In the use of Satyagraha, there is no ill will whatever. Satyagraha is pure soul force. Truth is the very substance of the soul. That is why this force is called Satyagraha. Non-violence is supreme dham without seeking vengeance or being aggressive. A Satyagrahi can win the battle through non-violence. This can be done by appealing to the conscience of the oppressor. This is question number 2. If you were a peasant in Uttar Pradesh in 1920, how would you have responded to Gandhiji's call for Swaraj? Give reasons for your response. If I were a peasant in Uttar Pradesh in 1920, I would respond to Gandhiji's call for Swaraj to participate in the non-violence movement. At that time, talukdars and landlords were demanding from peasants heavy high rents and many other cesses. Peasants had to do begar and work at landlord's farm without any payment. Gandhiji had opposed the heavy rents and begar. Local leaders told peasants that Gandhiji had declared that no taxes were to be paid and land was to be redistributed among the poor. This is your question number 3. Find out about other participants in the national movement who were captured and put to death by the British. You can think of a similar example from the national movement in Indochina. Here is the answer. The revolutionaries had made a plan to start a revolt in the military regiments in Punjab in 1915, but this plan could not succeed. The British police captured 46 revolutionaries and put them to death. Master Amir Chand, Awadh Bihari, Bal Mukund Bissa and Basant Kumar were hanged on 8th May 1915. On 18th April 1898, Damodar Hari Chapekar was hanged. Anant Kanher, विनायक राव देशपांडे, खुदीराम बोस, मदन लाल ढींगड़ा, सरदार भगत सिंह, राम प्रसाद बिस्मिल, अशफाक उल्ला खां, राजेंद्र लाहिरी, राजगुरु, सुखदेव, Sardar Udham Singh, and many other revolutionaries were also put to death by the British government. When Abdul Ghaffar Khan, a devout disciple of Mahatma Gandhi, was arrested in April 1930, angry crowds demonstrated in the streets of Peshawar facing police firing. Consequently, many persons were killed. A large number of Vietnamese participated in the national movement of Indochina. They fought for the freedom of their country, in which thousands of Vietnamese were killed. Why did various classes and groups of Indian participants in the civil disobedience movement? Various classes and groups of Indians participated in the civil disobedience movement. The causes of their participation were given as below. The first is, for the rich peasants, the fight for Swaraj was a struggle against high revenues. For the poor peasants, the meaning of Swaraj was that they would have their own land, would not have to pay the rents or do begar. Most businessmen came to see Swaraj as a time when colonial restrictions on business would no longer exist and trade and industry would flourish without constraints. The industrial working classes participated in the movement against low wages and poor working conditions. For the women, Swaraj meant equality with men in Indian society and acquirement of high status. Do you agree with Iqbal's idea of communalism? Can you define communalism in a different way? No. I do not agree with Iqbal's views, ideas of communalism, because his ideology puts communal interest above the nation. They demand a separate electorate on the basis of community, which would later prove disastrous for the country. Inspired by his thoughts, the demand of Pakistan arose. Yes, I can define communalism in a different way. In my view, communalism refers to the ideological differences between philosophical concepts of two different sections. A nation cannot be built on this basis. Different communities in the same nation would get an opportunity to spread and flourish. The community cannot be on national interest. Do you think these images will appeal to all castes and communities? Explain your views briefly. No, I don't think that these images will appeal to all the castes and communities of India. The mala in one hand gives a religious outlook. The images have been drawn from the Hindu iconography, but the feeling of other castes and communities have been ignored. Explain. Some questions are asked here and you have to explain them. Why growth of nationalism in the colonies is linked to anti-colonial movement? Growth of colonialism in the nationalism in the colonies. In India, like many other colonies, the growth of modern nationalism is intimately connected to the anti-colonial movement. People began discovering their unity in the process of the struggle with colonialism. The sense of being oppressed under colonialism provided a shared bond that tied many different grounds together. They felt that without the abolition of colonial rule, their hardship would not come to an end. This feeling aroused the sentiments of the nationalism in the Indians. Now the other one, how the First World War helped the growth of national movement in India. The answer is contribution of the First World War in the growth of national movement in India. The first is the First World War led to huge increase in defense expenditure, which was financed by war loans and increasing taxes. Custom duties were raised and income tax was introduced. Now the second one is during the war, prices increased double between 1914 and 1918. Due to the increased prices, the common people had to face many hardships. Now the third is during the war, the villagers were forcibly recruited in army that led to cause widespread anger in the rural areas. The fourth is in 1918-19 and 1920-21, crops failed in many parts of the country, resulting in acute shortage of food. On this occasion, influenza epidemic spread. Due to the famines and epidemic, about 12 to 13 million people died. But the British government did not take effective steps to help the Indians. The Indians hoped that their hardship would end after the war was over, but this did not happen. Now the next is why Indians were outraged by the Rowllat Act. The Rowllat Act, the Imperial Legislative Council passed the Rowllat Act in 1919. It gave the British government enormous power to repress political activities and allowed detention of political prisoners without trial for 2 years. This led to widespread resentment against the Indians, among the Indians. The Indian felt that the British government was determined to suppress the national movement. The next is why Gandhiji decided to withdraw the non-cooperation movement. Withdrawal of non-cooperation movement by Gandhiji. There was a violent clash on 5th February 1922 between the Satyagrahis and the police at Chorachori village in Gorakhpur district of Uttar Pradesh. The crowd burnt a police station, resulting in death of 22 policemen. Gandhiji was shocked to bear this violent incident and decided to withdraw the non-cooperation movement on 12th February 1922. The idea of Satyagraha. What is meant by the idea of Satyagraha? Here is the answer. Satyagraha is not physical force. According to Gandhiji, Satyagraha is not a physical force. A Satyagrahi does not inflict pain on the opponent and he does not want to destroy him. In the use of Satyagraha, there is no ill will whatever. Satyagraha is pure soul force. According to Gandhiji, Satyagraha is pure soul force. Truth is the very substance of the soul. That is why this force is called Satyagraha. Emphasizing on the power of truth. Satyagraha emphasized the power of truth and the need to search for truth. It suggested that if the cause was true, the struggle was against injustice. Physical force was not necessary to fight the oppressor. No feeling of vengeance. There is no feeling of vengeance in Satyagraha. Without seeking vengeance or being aggressive, a Satyagrahi could win the battle through non-violence. This could not be done appealing to the conscience of the oppressor. People, including the oppressor, had to be persuaded to see the truth instead of being forced to accept truth through the use of violence. Victory of truth. By this struggle, truth was bound to win ultimately. According to Gandhiji, this dharma of non-violence could unite all Indians. Write a newspaper report on the first is on the Jallianwala Bagh massacre. On 13th April 1919, the infamous Jallianwala Bagh massacre took place. On 13th April, a large crowd gathered in the enclosed ground of Jallianwala Bagh to celebrate the Baisakhi fair. Many people gathered there to protest against the government's new repressive measures adopted by the British government. Many villagers were unaware of the martial law that had been imposed in Amritsar. General Dyer, along with troops, entered the Jallianwala Bagh, blocked the exit points, and opened fire on the crowd, killing hundreds of innocent persons. His object was to produce a moral effect in the minds of Satyagrahis and feeling of terror and awe. The Jallianwala Bagh incident was bitterly criticized throughout the whole country. Now the next is the Simon Commission. Simon Commission, the British government constituted a statutory commission under Sir John Simon. It was set up in response to the nationalist movement. The commission was to look into the functioning of the constitutional system in India and suggest changes. There were 7 members in the Simon Commission. They were all British. The commission did not have a single Indian member. Hence, the Indians decided to boycott the Simon Commission. When the Simon Commission arrived in India in 1928, it was greeted by the Indians with the slogan, "Go back Simon." All parties, including the Congress and Muslim League, participated in the demonstrations. Now, we have to find out the image of Bharat Mata and the image of Germania. Now the difference is, in 1905, Rabindranath Tagore had painted the image of Bharat Mata. The picture of Germania had been painted in 1848 by Philip Waite. Bharat Mata is the allegory of the Indian nation. Germania is the allegory of the German nation. Bharat Mata has been shown as an ascetic figure. She is calm, composed, divine and spiritual. Germania has been shown wearing a crown of oak leaves because the German oak stands for heroism. Bharat Mata has been shown as dispensing learning, food and clothing. The mala in one hand emphasizing her ascetic quality. Now, in other image of Mother India, she is shown with a trishul, standing beside a lion and an elephant, both symbols of power and authority. The second portrait of Germania is built guarding the Rhine. There is a sword in the Germania's hand, and sword reads the German sword protects the German Rhine. The image of Mother India was painted in such a way that the Indian's mind can be truly understood, whereas the image of Germania was inspired by the German history and culture. Thanks for your time. Keep watching the channel Knowledge One Diary. Hope you will switch on tuned and keep learning in our next videos. Have a nice time.